going
Hell
on?
yeah.
Damn, dude.
That intro never gets old, you know?
I know that shit hits hard, man. It's just straight like, it just comes in.
Straight to the point.
Shit. I feel like playing that bitch again.
Do it. One more. Hit it again.
Hit it again?
Hit it again.
Shit clean. Yeah, man, that's almost Oni-chan level. Almost. Oh, amazing. Hey, so I can feel a pulse.
Man, day one, and there's already like $130 million worth of ERC20s and like $3.5 million worth of Ethereum, and that's not including the Ethereum that's already been kind of moved. Like some of it's been sold to USDC, but yeah, you're definitely right, man. Feel the pulse for sure.
Right. There's a crazy amount. If you compare, what's really interesting is if you actually go back and compare to previous ICOs in the space. So I'd say the two that are good reference points are probably Cardano, ADA, and Polkadot DOT. This has already exceeded it's already over 2x the ICO of what ADA had back in like 2017, and then now it's compared to Polkadot. I think Polkadot raised. I think they raised somewhere around like somewhere between 1 to 200, but they had that whole multi-sig issue, so they lost like half the money. So overall, you're basically already at like a 2x multiple compared to like other ICOs we've seen in the past with smart contract platforms. So this is a crazy, guys. Like this is pretty insane amount of economic mass that's going into this thing, and it's really within the crypto Twitter community. There's so much. It's absolutely wonderful. Have you guys looked at how much hex is in that address?
It's over like half a billion.
It's half a billion. Okay.
It's over. Yeah, it's a little bit over. Yeah.
I try not to look, man, because the numbers are so crazy.
It's actually 609 million.
Yeah.
Damn. Hey, I'm just gonna say, man, I call that 18-cent fucking price point for day one, man. Shoo.
There's a nice little wick there too.
I know, right? Shit. For some of the guys watching that were in the crypto mindset course, we are going to have a flash webinar on Pulse Chain and the whole launch of the sacrifice chamber. Pretty much right after this, you'd have to give us maybe like 20, 30 minutes to prepare, and then it'll start. So it's probably going to start sometime around like 9 Pacific Standard Time, which is about 2 hours and change from now. But anyway, you guys, I mean, fuck, man, I haven't been sleeping for anything, dude. Dude, I didn't go to sleep last night, dude. I was up all night, dude. Like, and like, look at me, my eyes are still open. It's amazing. I've had to use like duct tape and like super glue and stuff, and like staples. Like my eyes are still open. It's amazing.
Well, there was that magic ball lady that said there was no sleep in your future. So, like, you got another 15 days. So.
Yep, it's for yeah. So anyway, man. Have you guys sacrificed anything just yet, Brian?
A smidge. I mean, maybe like 15% of the total value that I'm going to do. Just because I was kind of like interested on the day one thing, but we all know that kind of like days 1 through 5 are going to be the same amount of bonus per se, but it just matters about what that 30-minute time weighted average price is going to be. So I'm kind of just sitting in the back right now, to be honest, kind of just waiting to see what happens. I mean, we had a wick maybe like a handful of hours ago to nearly 22 cents on Hex, and it's like, all right, well, where else can this go? So definitely kind of slowly but surely, going to be averaging in some of the buys or some of the sacrifices.
I think Brand, that's like the correct strategy. Just catch the pumps when you can, and then pretty much ape it in during those green dildos. Basically, I mean, that's kind of the move. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of anyone saying that they've gotten like really fucked by like the price going down on them. But I do expect at some point when the prices get, if let's just say for something like between day 1 and 5, let's just say something like that, right? It apes up to like, I don't know, what's like a crazy number? I don't know. Let's just say what's a crazy number? 40 cents. Let's just say 40, 50 cents or something. It apes up that high or some shit, or nice 6 or something like that, right? Probably it might crash down to 40. If it hits 50, it'll probably go to 40 real quick. So you'll probably get 45 cents. That's not that bad, I mean, but at some point, probably towards the end days or the end of the first 5 days or something, we'll probably see a price crash, a decent, probably 40% correction, something like 50% correction. I don't think we're going to see any like 80% corrections or anything like that. I don't even think the current whales have enough hex to dump it down that far for very long, because people will buy it up because they're trying to sacrifice it as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful little game.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of volume coming in too. So if you actually go on if you look at the volume coming into Uniswap V2, there's a huge spike on the price chart, which is actually that's actually what you want to see. One thing you don't want to see, this is just in general for any charts you're looking at, if you see it rising on low volume, that's usually not a good thing. There's a shit ton of volume that came in the last 2 days, so it's a really good. I love the chart setup right now. So, but just for if there's like a random guy watching, the stream today, just be aware that DC brand, like there's been a lot of people that have been planning around this for like quite a while. So, if the words I'm speaking, I'm just assuming that it's for most people they're planning on some kind of sacrifice during the duration of the sacrifice phase.
Yeah, it's like,
Here, is
on mute for a
mics
second.
are cutting out.
There
You're
you
on
go.
mute.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Brand. Sorry.
Oh, just real quick. I mean, yeah, there's so many ways you can tackle it, and as someone that follows the Pulse Chain Comp Telegram a lot, I hear a lot of people saying like, "What's the ultimate strategy?" And there is no like perfect answer to that question. I mean, the best thing you can kind of do is just go to the pulse.info main website and look at that bonding curve, and kind of develop your strategy from there. Because, the second that the FOMO ensues, I've already seen a lot of people that have kind of had like almost like a regret for sacrificing a little bit too early. And it's like, keep your emotions cool and, develop a plan, and then, try and work that plan as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, you got like, here's a common question that I had a lot of people ask me. Miguel, let me. I'm gonna sacrifice the same amount of hex like every day for the first 5 days or something at the same time. I mean, you can, but I would. You want to do it when it's best, basically. So it's this whole thing where like you really do have to pay attention. I mean, there was a whale or two that I saw. They put in like 17 million, didn't even give a fuck what the price was. They just went cool.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are like that. I mean, they're just like, you know what, I'm cool with this, and then they just go.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, there's some serious players with a lot of economic mass. So it's I think I guess it kind of relates differently depending on what their relative size is, because they're probably not as they probably don't care as much as far as like trying to get in like capitalize completely on like a run up on the price or something like that, because they're putting in so much energy that even depending on what the price ends up going up to, they just have so much that they're already going to end up having like one of the top positions through the entire sacrifice period. But yeah, it's I guess one thing I agree with like kind of what Bran and DC are saying is like, as far as your strategy, make sure you do have like, let's say, a strategy going into this. I think kind of some of the advice there is really, really good, and not get too overwhelmed looking at things like back in hindsight or something like that. I think as long as there's like a plan in place, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just having a plan. I mean, always remember, you guys always have that moon bag Never sacrifice all. Like, all right, let's just say as an example, right? What's a good example? Let's just say someone has 100,000 hex total. That's their whole bag, right? Liquid. And they just say, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice half of it. Okay, cool. That's 50,000, right? I think at no point, like even past the 5 days, that person who sacrifices should probably keep like at least 20,000 of that 50,000, or maybe even 15,000 of that 50,000, something, right? Because you never know. You might get some crazy price point on hex at some. Maybe it hits a fucking 60 cents. I mean, that would be really. I mean, comparatively, if you sacrifice 10,000 hex at 20 cents, you sacrifice that same 10,000 at 60 cents. You're literally getting like it's like you sacrifice 30,000.
Yeah.
So 3 times, and there is this whole little thing of like I think the first couple days after hex turns over on day 5 for the volume phase. You still have the 2.5x, so just the price goes up. The price doesn't shoot up that dramatically right away. So a couple percentage. I mean, if you get a 15% increase in the price, you still would get almost the same amount or more than you would even on day 5. It really where it gets preparing is like 5. I think it's like 7 days afterwards. That's when it starts getting kind of ridiculous. That where like it really starts eating into your ability to the wicks to actually kind of be able to beat out the first 5 days. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Brent, do you want to go first, or?
I mean, feel free to take the floor. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was. I guess.
What the fuck was that?
I guess to add on that, yeah. So honestly, the even the targets, DC is mentioning. So, there's a lot of people, of course, that are watching or have watched a lot of the previous streams. But for anybody that's new. Honestly, those price targets are it is possible. Like, there's not a lot of liquidity. There's a lot that's in the contract right now. Brand mentioned there's half a billion hex that's currently in that contract. So there's been a substantial. If you look at hex whale bots, you can actually see all the sacrifices that had taken place so far, which is really cool. It kind of gamifies the whole thing, which is awesome. So once you go into this price discovery. The market's eventually going to do what it's going to do. You don't necessarily have to get, too overwhelmed at like specific price targets, but the targets DC are mentioning are, it is within the realm of like possibilities that can play out. It does jive with like what the growth has been, even if you look back at previous impulsive waves on the hex price chart. So I would say, yeah, just, whatever plan you have, definitely take, whatever DC mentions as far as like any recommendations for the strategy. I think that's going to be a very good way to go about it. So just, overall, just stick to whatever your plan is, but, do have a plan. Do you have a plan for this if you are sacrificing?
BW, that you didn't really screw up there. That's fine. That's actually a good price. That's a very nice price. 17 cents. You almost caught the 18 cent right there too as well. So that's a great price. You didn't fuck up at all right there. The only difference I would have probably done with that, that would have been more of a 10% sell on the way I would have done it. But that's not bad because like you still have a majority. You still have what would that be, like 83% of your coins still? That's a lot. So you're fine. Yeah, you guys don't go crazy. I mean, the important part is as long as you're able to catch 40% of your coins, whatever you sacrifice at a stupid high price, that's a cure-all.
Totally.
Just totally, yeah. You'll end up getting a nice average price point because let's just say you're kind of DCAing like 17 cents or something like that, and then you only have 10% at like 40s, 50s, I don't know, wherever it goes, right? And if you average it all out, you'll probably end up something probably in the mid 30s, high 20s. Not bad.
I mean, I definitely agree to your point, Dollar Cost, about kind of like, just like you would sell into like a major pump, maybe sacrificing into the major pump too, because I was watching Kareem and Maddie, talking last night, and I pretty much agree with Kareem's point that there's who knows what day it's going to be, right? Whether it's going to be this 1 through 5 initial day or whether it's going to be the rest of the 14 days, but there's definitely probably going to be a day that those, the whales are kind of playing their games. And if you can kind of sacrifice into that, then, obviously that 30-minute time weighted average price, to your point, could get you more points for Pulse.
Yeah, the whales are a bunch of pussies.
Yeah,
I mean, straight up. You can put that down. Put BCC said the whales are a bunch of fucking pussies. They are. Most of them. There's a couple with got some testicles, some cojones, but most of them are fucking shriveled pussies, and they're gonna ape in a lot of their money probably in the last day.
Mm.
Oh, at least not all of it. Like they're also people, right? Just with no testicles. There's still people without testicles and stuff, but they're probably gonna ape in like most of their money within the first 5 days, probably, and then they're gonna keep a little like 25, 40, 50. It depends on the guy, basically, and they're going to ape the rest of it out throughout the days. But it really is in the benefit of the whales to probably be in the first 5 days because it's like the best deal for them because they got economic mass. Where like the normal guy, they're you kind of have to take a swing on the rest of the days as well. Not all of it, but like something like probably like a 70-30 split, something like that. Maybe 70% on the first 5 days. And then 30% just as like a fucking sniper, just like trying to hit those stupid IRA with your hex. In terms of the rest of the tokens, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you all you have is tokens like let's just say you have Bitcoin and Ethereum you're sacrificing, or some random RC20 token, then basically, I mean, for pretty much the first 5 days, probably the best shot for you too. Because you're not really going to get a lot of price appreciation on your token, especially on USDC. I had somebody ask me that. I thought the price of USDC was going to go higher or lower. Oh my god! But dude, I have been asked the most ridiculous shit in the past 2 days. I got to make a compile list of the stupid shit I was asked.
Well, it really goes to show you, kind of like I was saying earlier, like even with Hex on day one, but you get people that are so excited. They hear about like the largest airdrop in history, and it's almost like their logical thinking kind of shuts off, and it's like, full ape mode. What do I do? And yeah, to your point, I mean, I think kind of just developing a strategy of what you want to do, what you want to sacrifice. I mean, same thing. I've heard a lot of people in the Pulse chain chat saying like, why would I want to sacrifice Hex versus USDC? And then, I hear some people countering saying that, oh, they got their Hex at 7.5 cents, and now it's double the value. So now you can sacrifice less if you want to. So there's just so many ways to do it. But yeah, if you can just arm yourself with that knowledge and then go into the strategy. I mean, you mentioned anywhere from a 70-30 split. I'll probably be doing 75-25 as far as the first 5 days. But I definitely like that strategy because at least you kind of know about the volume bonus within the first 5 days, and then the rest is all kind of just speculation.
Right. So you kind of you lock in a really good rate. So you're like, okay, cool. Now I can be a fucking degen. The rest of it, I mean, you still are being kind of a degen with the first half, right? You are. You're trying to get the best price, at least. Like, and I'm mostly when we're talking about price, I'm talking about the Hex price because a majority of people, this was kind of the recommended move, is to if you were going to sacrifice into the sacrifice chamber, it was better to have sold the coins you were going to sell into Hex, and then Hex would actually have volatility for the upwards and downside. So you'd be able to either trade it up and down, I guess, or mostly. I haven't seen too many people actually trade the price and actually get more Hex too much, other than like a little bit here and there, because the volatility has been mostly like. It pumps up, 20%, 15%, and just goes down a little bit. And then there's not that much vig there, where like some guys are mostly looking for like a 40% spread, which right now there's a lot of appetite for it. So I don't expect to see a lot of volatility in terms of like huge price crashes until probably like after day 5. That's when maybe we might get a dip after day 5, I think. But yeah.
It's definitely exciting. I mean, I know, dollar cost and myself and a lot of the OGs have kind of been somewhat early on Hex and even other projects as well, and that's definitely the best time to be getting into something. I mean, Richard's talked about that sure, there's no future expectations and yada yada for the legal terms, but the fact that it's going to be at the ground floor of a new project and beating Ethereum 2.0 to kind of the chase, I think it's going to have a significant like first movers advantage. Just like with Hex, I mean, we saw that there's a couple different knockoffs that try to reverse engineer, but with Pulse and for everyone else that didn't get in projects early, this is definitely a good opportunity to at least, diversify some of your bag if you haven't already.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of, it's going to be very interesting, let's say 6 to 12 months from now, with because you look at something like Pulse Chain, separate layer 1, so it's another EVM based layer 1. So the multi-chain has gotten a lot of traction in this market so far. So there's actually a lot of competition, in my opinion, for Ethereum in general. So it's going to be very interesting because the throughput issues, at least on Ethereum, EIP 1559 does not solve the throughput issues. It's good for price appreciation. It's great for the token price. It's not a solution that relates to the throughput. It just means everybody is going to be paying the same amount of gas, but it'll still be expensive, at least during a bull market. It may not be that bad right now since the market's in a bear wave right now, but when it goes back into like an uptrend, you start to get these really high gas fees, and then EIP 1559 burns supply, which is great. But I don't think the throughput is really in play until well into ETH2. So it's going to be more like ETH 1.5 when they first move the system state over. It does not actually solve the throughput issue. The actual throughput doesn't come until they have sharding, and that could still be years out. So things like Optimism, these later ones we see with like Pulse, there's all the throughputs now starting to go into these other networks that have that allow people to actually do things. So it's going to be very interesting at the very least when we see the market find like some kind of support level somewhere, and then really just for Ethereum in general. I'm kind of Ethereum at this point is it's kind of it's going to do well like price performance over like the course of like an entire macro trends. But Ethereum is kind of now it's kind of taken the place as like fulfilling the role of like Bitcoin. And then I'm not as optimistic on it actually during like when the market actually kicks back in at some later point in time. Honestly, I'm just
no pun intended. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
I just want to say something to the super chat. Thanks, Fathead, for the $25. I refuse to give these any more money on your head right now. Set up a Cash App account so you can get 100%. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll set something up, man. I'll set something up for sure. Let's see. What is 60% from my circle? Let's see. Wait, you get 100% of the funds opposed to what? 60% from. Oh, okay. It is day and one doesn't matter. It's all the same except for the price of hack or the price. The only variable is really the token's price. If you think there's going to be upwards price point, if like let's just say something like an Ethereum, like it's going to stay between like $1,800 to like $2,000. You might as well just do it right now. There's really no point in waiting, basically. But if you're doing Hex, you pretty much just kind of try to snipe a better price on a wick or something. That's pretty much the difference. Thanks, Fathead. Fathead, I love that name. And one more. Let's see. What if you only have 10K Hex? Is that that would to sacrifice, or that's total? I don't know. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think he's posted anything else. But let's just say that's all he has, right? I'd probably tell him just keep fucking 3,000 Hex for like price appreciation for himself later on or something, and then fucking ape in the 7K. I mean, pretty much. I mean, like, what's basically if you have only 10, you have a very small bag. If you're willing to sacrifice that already, then basically if you have a smaller bag, you pretty much just got to go higher on the risk curve and just kind of ape in, and basically kind of get on the ground floor of a new ecosystem and just wait and have time be your time is pretty much is what's going to be your savior. I mean, I know a lot of people that originally got into Hex that didn't put that much into Hex, and they just staked it, or they kept liquid for a long time, and now they're sitting pretty happy with what, especially for what they put in terms of dollars, So what's 10,000? What's 10,000 Hex right now in price? What is that like? $2,000 maybe, 100 or 1,000 and change.
What is the price now? Like 17 cents.
something like that. So it's probably $1,700 or something like that, right? So 17. If so, basically, if you're let's just say you're keeping $400 of hex. I don't know what the 3,000 is, whatever that is, 3,000 hex worth, and you're keeping that just like, okay, if the price goes up to $1 one day, $3,000, right? But then you're also taking like, okay, now the rest of it, the 7,000 hex, I'm gonna take a couple shots here and there. Probably that 7,000 will probably be done in like 2 to 3 shots within 2 shots within day 1 through 5, and then 1 shot sometime in the rest of it. If we get like some kind of god spike or something, right? And then that's pretty much the best you can do with what you have there, because you're kind of limited on funds, but that gives you a nice little baseline to have something for the new ecosystem. And then especially if you have that 3,000 hex there too, you might get a kind of a snapshot of that 3,000 over on Pulse or on PHEX when the snapshot happens and stuff. Yeah. Cool. Not much development required. 16 cents a dipped. Yeah. Shoo. These comments are funny. So, but yeah, man, shit. Where's Crypto Coffee at, man?
Well, he's been streaming a lot the last couple of days. So
you mean cheating on us?
Well, I guess you could call it whatever you want. But no, he's been streaming a lot. Like I know he's been doing a lot of streams in general. He's been it's a pretty, I think overall there's a lot going on. There's of course a lot going on because this whole sacrifice phase is going on. So I think in general, like it's going to be a very hectic couple weeks. It's very exciting. It is very, very exciting. But yeah, I think he's just been streaming a lot. So we'll see if he comes on later during the stream.
For real. Emerald, let's see. Okay, Emerald Global Raid. I've got a hex stake of 74,000 hex ending tomorrow night after 8 p.m. What options do you guys recommend? That's a decent amount of hex right there, man. That's like what it. I mean, that's a nice little chunk.
Yeah. That is a nice.
Almost 12,000.
That's a nice chunk.
Yeah, that's a nice bag, man. So
yeah, I like that.
It depends how degen you want to be with it.
I like that.
But I would always, if that's all the hex you got, I'd always keep some of it in liquid. I have been seeing people going like all in on the sacrifice chamber. That's a pretty bad idea. That's pretty stupid. I mean, no one. I mean, most people won't say that, but I will. But it's just like this whole thing of like you're leaving yourself. Some guys only have 1 coin and they're aping all that coin, and then now they don't have any more liquid coins at all, so they basically don't have any more cash. That's probably a bad idea. Yeah. You always keep some liquid kex, because what's going to happen is it's going to be a while before Pulse kind of really launches. Like I don't expect Pulse to be kind of fully activated until like September, maybe at the soonest. So you're kind of like up a creek without a paddle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you could always.
I definitely. Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead, Bren. Yeah.
just real quick. I mean, I definitely agree. Right, like all in on anything is kind of a dumb degen move. I mean, someone had asked Richard the question that they had some hex stakes and they were like, oh, should I emergency end these stakes early so I can have some capital for the sacrifice, and stuff like that is definitely not the wisest thing to do, because it is a smart contract that will penalize you if you don't serve the days that you said you would. And the other thing is $2 cost point that kind of just going all in on one thing is not the brightest idea. I mean, we're going to see a lot of price appreciation most likely with hex in a very short amount of time. So I think kind of having both is not a bad idea. And also, if you don't have any hex stakes, it might not be a bad idea to do some, because that way that's going to be copied over to the next chain. And if you don't have like a proper ladder set up, I mean, it might be worth doing it now and getting it set for the copy.
Right. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, what if a person has a really small amount of hex? I mean, pretty much you'd have to stay really far out for that even to make sense. It's that sort of thing where like you may want to wait until like, because I think Brand's right. If you got let's just say you got a couple 100,000 hex or something like that, you could put some stakes away. Definitely not a problem, especially if they're long term. That at least get the copy over there on Pulse Hex. So it's like you're kind of getting 2 for 1 on that. But if you have a small bag of hex, I would wait until some point where because right now a hex is the bee's knees right now, right? It's the bee's knees. The pulse chain's going on. The rest of the market's dying. You see a little picture of like the house burning and the little girl looking evil towards the camera.
I like that one. Yeah.
And there's Hex. Yeah, that's the whole market. But that shit's funny. But basically, at some point, it's going to calm down for a while, and it's going to because Hex has these points where it just shoots up like crazy, comes down a little bit, recovers, and then just goes boring for a little bit, and then shoo, back up, and it's a rinse and repeat sort of cycle like that, which is cool. But at that point where like the volatility kind of calms down on Hex and it's nice and boring for a bit, that's when you fucking fill your bag, like really fill your bags up, and then you start thinking about some long-term stakes. But I don't know. I mean, like it's just because like I would hate for someone to be like, Miguel, I just dollar costed my first Hex at $1 at the all-time high, and then the price crashes to 20 cents and then stays at 25 cents long-term. And then he's like, oh, fuck. Well, and then, he'll just have to stake it. And then, years later, he'll be like, oh, pretty happy I did that. You see the diamond. And that's the power of hodling that saves you. But emotionally, someone who's not emotionally strong will get like totally fucked by that. Like, go fuck this, I'm out. And then he just gave his money away, gave 75 cents for every dollar he put in, away to the market.
Yeah, it's tough to look at your total value, the capital that you started off with, and to your point, seeing it just diminish very, very quickly. And in crypto, I mean, sure, there's the mad gains, whether it's Hex or a million other different cryptocurrencies. There's always that point in time where you've got the mad gains, but also, like you mentioned, can you have to be able to stomach like those 85% dips or whatever percent dips to be able to experience those mad gains. So can you actually do that? Because a lot of people are driven by their emotions and kind of act accordingly to that.
I'm only throwing in 2,500 Hex because I'm cheap and most of my Hex is locked up. Fuck it, man. Hey, shit. At least you got some, that's the important part is you got some Hex locked up. That's the important part. You're going to get a copy of that on P-Hex. So that's actually kind of a nice kind of bonus. I mean, I have one of my stakes that's coming out probably when P-Hex is going to come out. So I'm kind of like, cool, I'm going to have some P-Hex coming out. Nice. But it's still, it's that sort of thing. And I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on? Okay, so all right, so there's some new people to Hex, right? Where they don't have ladders right now, or they just have some liquid Hex. And then there's these other people who are more like been around Hex for a minute or OGs and actually have a bunch of long-term stakes. What's your thoughts on someone emergency unstaking? I know that's like the evil like emergency unstaking. I know it's against the law, but some people are if Hex hits these crazy prices, right? Because like this is the sort of like what do you call it? Like what is that? Like I guess teeter-totter. It's the teeter-totter between like like supply and demand, where like if the price of Hex shoots up high enough, right, or people sacrifice enough Hex, that will help shoot the price of Hex up. But eventually, the price will reach high enough where some people might consider emergency unstaking, and that'll bring new supply onto the market. So, like, at what point do you think it's like reasonable for someone to do it? Because obviously, everyone's ladder is really different. Like, I know people that like they have like 5 stakes, but they're gigantic. Yeah, they're like mega stakes. They put like a million Hex on a stake and have 5 of them, something like that. Or there's some guys that, they have like 10,000 Hex stakes or 20,000 Hex stakes and stuff, which an EES wouldn't be as bad if the dude has like a grip of them,
Yeah, I guess in terms of the EES, so I think the reality, like when you look at any of these coins in general, the EES could work now, but I mean, statistically, you're kind of at odds over longer time frames against like the entire market. Because when people EES, right, what's happening is the T-share rates, it's for existing stakers in the system, they're now getting paid out more in terms of interest. Recently, it actually went above 7. It was about 5.8. Maybe a little over a month ago. So it kind of depends on like what it all goes back to like the whole time horizon aspect of it, and how much, like what your end goal is for the stakes that you have. So ES to me means panic, but you know, it's different for each person. Like everybody has like
Yeah.
the psychology. There's a psychological aspect to it, but kind of at the end of the day, just in general, like I've came to terms like you're gonna have people ES, you're gonna have all that, you're gonna have some kind of sell pressure come in, and we'll see in a couple of years, like, you know, 4 or 5 years from now, whether, you know, whether they were happy with that decision or whether they end up regretting it. So it's really hard because like the whole thing is like if you're doing an EES, you're changing your plan. Like you ended up changing your strategy. You stake the coins for a certain amount of time and you're losing your if you actually staked prior to big payday, you basically got paid out the big payday bonus, so you lose that entire bonus gone, gets transferred over to all the stakers. So that's just my view on it. If you're doing an ES, it's out of panic, but I can see more of a reason for somebody to doing it if they're trying to deploy more into, like, let's say the sacrifice phase. But I would keep it, like, definitely keep it reasonable, guys. If you end up, because you're acting purely on emotions at that point, and then, you know, if you have multiple stakes, just kind of go back to like what your long-term plan is and whether it makes sense. Maybe it does. Maybe you need to do an ES if you want, you know, some extra hex or something like that. So it's hard. It's really hard to get it. Like there's a ton of volatility in this market. It is what it is. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough. It's very psychological. I do get it though.
I agree with Wave 3 on this, that if someone is going to go down that path, you know, instead of acting on emotion and just like blindly clicking the emergency end stake button, you know, if you haven't already, go to staker.app, download it. It's free. It's something that some of the developers in the community have done. But when you plug in your ETH address, you'll at least be able to see if you did qualify for a big payday, you'll be able to see what that penalty would be if you did emergency end stake. And then same thing, it's a lot different the way that it's calculated if you don't have that interest from the big payday. So it all kind of just depends on, to your point, like what your plan is at the end of the day. Because if you just start making those emotional decisions of emergency end staking everything, then you might make some impulsive decisions that might not pay off in the future, as opposed to just keeping that copy that gets copied over after the snapshot.
Yeah, and if you do decide to, like, if there's some, you know, if you do decide to do like an ES, like make sure you don't get nuked doing it, because the penalty is all based on the time of that stake. There's a lot of new people coming in. All of this information's public. Like you have to do your research. All of this is open source, completely public. So ultimately, it's up to you to do that type of research. But the length of time you have the stakes set plays into the penalty should you decide to do an ES. So sure, if you decide to do one, you're not nuking your entire stack, because the longer the stake is, the larger the penalty, because it has to do with the T shares that are in the system. So it kind of goes to goes back to the way the smart contract is designed, so that nothing can get gamed. And to properly do that, it requires penalizing stakers that do an ES. But there's a certain point where you can lose like your entire stack, and then that transfers over to the stakers. So just make sure you run the calculations or check through Staker app. Just be very safe when you hit the emergency end stake button.
Like I would only consider emergency end staking a stake that's like at least 75% done, and that's kind of like there's got to be a really good reason for it. Like really, am I lagging? Like
no, you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're good.
So it's you know, Wasabi, you should get a surfboard. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I've got that recommendation. I've thought about that. I do plan on kind of juicing or improving the green screen. So it'd be kind of cool if it looks like I was standing on a surfboard right now.
Dude, one day you should come on the stream and like dress up as like Scuba Steve or something like that. Or, like,
I have ideas. I have a lot of ideas. I do.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's hilarious.
This is super chat from Frank Einstein. I recently had to take a personal loan, which has left me depressed. Well, that's depressing. if Hex hits 30 cents, I could pay off that loan with my liquid Hex. What would you do? Well, dude, if you're fucking depressed off the loan, I mean, like, that's kind of an easy answer. I mean, obviously no financial advice, but yeah, you gotta watch it. You gotta take care of yourself, man. If it's fucking depressing you that much, and you had to sound like a super chat talking about like how depressed it's making you, you're basically looking for me and Wasabi and everyone else to tell you like, do it, bro. I'm being honest.
That's one thing that I've experienced as well back in the day with trading, that like any time that I would, wake up in the middle of the night wondering if, something had closed or stops had been hit, is that, you might be kind of over leveraged when it comes to that. And there's definitely, if you're going to take out a loan, there's definitely, I've never done it, but I know that there's an amount that you could probably do comfortably without, feeling depressed or like, falling asleep and wondering if it's gonna, go back down in value.
And I'm not laughing at you or anything, man. But I just see this with a lot of people because like you just when you're YouTubing, you see a lot of people asking these questions, and usually not debt questions, but usually should I if this happens here, then I can do this. And if you just keep distilling it down, it's basically you really want to do it. You're just looking for someone to give you permission. Right, unless something like there's a couple times where it's like the move is like really terrible because they fundamentally they don't know something going on with the whole thing, but like always leave yourself a little moon bag. I always said this thing like people go the moon bag keeps you from roping yourself legitimately, because it's this whole thing of like like if let's just say you sell 80% of your coins and you at least keep 20%, you'll be like, fuck, man, Hex really went to $1 or $4 one day, or I don't know. But then you're just like, well, at least I have this. That right there keeps you from being totally depressed because you didn't miss the entire upside. That hodl bag, that moon bag, it really is like rope protection services. It really is like.
Well, we even saw with Hex early on, the black guy that's like, oh man, I sold my Hex, and he had like 14 mil or 18 mil, whatever, and he does like an update video a little bit later on, and now with this price of 16.12 cents, it's definitely, to your point, I definitely agree with that dollar cost, that if you are gonna get out of a position, always keep a little bit, because to your point, you never know how high it's gonna go. And I've met a handful of Bitcoin OGs that used it to buy weed back in the day on, dark nets and stuff like that. But they pretty much sold all of it, and now it would be worth like hundreds of thousands, So definitely keep a little bit, because you never know how high something's going to go, especially if it does have product market fit.
Yeah. There's people. Well, actually, wait. No, I'll be quiet. Never mind. I always got to be careful what I say. Sometimes I know the evil incantation words. But Tom RKBA, I hope I'm saying that right. I have a bunch of Hex. My plan is 50% sacrifice, 25% snapshot, then selling 25 only will de-risk 50% of the original investment. Should I hodl or add to the snapshot or stake? Let's see. The sacrifice part, that's probably right. The snapshots, that's pretty good. 25% de-risk. So basically, you're keeping probably 50% USD of that 25%. You're probably keeping 12.5% of your, 12.5% of that 25% in USDC just to keep cash, and the other half de-risk. Yeah, that seems like a solid strategy to me. You're keeping it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're probably going to keep some Hex. You're sacrificing a decent amount. You're having some snapshot money, and that seems like a plan to me, because if you're snapshotting, that means that Hex not being sold. So you're actually that seems like that's basically kind of what Richard was recommending, was like have like a third into each little pot, which is I think what you're doing. I think that's a good strategy. Yeah. Damn, there's less than that. What are these chats? Shout out for the $1. Let's see what else we got here. Mass bro effect. What's a reasonable Hex price that has come into close times? That's very hard to answer, because it's like. That all depends. If Hex goes to, like, let's just say, if I'm gonna see some retarded number here, this is not gonna happen. Full disclosure, this is like, this is like full Surgeon General's warning. This is not gonna hit. Like, let's just say Hex hit $50. It's not. Okay. I shouldn't have to say that, but like some of you guys would be like, $50 hex win, or some shit, or like 14K sell. But like, yeah, if let's just say hex hits $1 and it typically does 70-80% corrections, it would probably end up finding sort of a floor between 15 to 20 cents. If it's probably not going to hit $1, just being honest, right? But if it hits 50 cents, you could find a floor at 6 to 7 cents, and then eventually just be chilling at 10 cents for a little while. That's probably what's going to happen. But that's all. But hex maybe only. Let's just say in some nightmare world where hex only goes to 20 cents. It's a nightmare world. It only goes to 20 cents. It'll probably find its bottom somewhere in the 4-cent range. Probably. So it really all depends. That all-time high really is what helps you kind of gauge the floor. It's really hard to tell tops. But usually, I mean, Wasabi. This is something Wasabi's got expertise in. Is like once you kind of know when the top of a coin is, you can kind of. It's easier to call bottoms than it is tops, basically. Yeah.
Well, and to your point, you want to kind of be able to plan for both sides. I mean, sure, everyone loves price go up, but you also got to expect that, like you mentioned, that significant dip once there's a massive pump up, and are you over leveraged to the point where now you're going to start getting liquidated or losing sleep over that 80% drop, or is that something you're going to be able to hold through and be comfortable with? So you definitely have to be able to take the good with the bad and the ups and the downs.
Yeah. Fucking these assholes. Damn it. 50x win. 50x win. Oh my god. Yeah. Dude, I'm starting to get hyped, man. This energy drink's starting to hit me, man. I'm getting sweaty.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, how have you been sleeping, Brand? You been sleeping good? Like, have you been getting good sleep?
Yeah, last night didn't get the most amount of sleep, just from the sacrifice. But yeah, man, I mean, the beautiful thing about it is, like I mentioned, I've got the bag. I'm comfortable if the price does, significant pumpage up from here, or if it goes down from here, I'm comfortable either way. So that's definitely one thing I did learn from early 2017 was like I mentioned, not to be too exposed in certain areas. So yeah, man, definitely getting good sleep. I mean, never been such exciting times. I mean, sometimes they say like your 20s are your learning years and your 30s are your earning years type deal. But for me, it's been like, I'm 24 and it's like never seen these kinds of games before, so it's kind of like
Brand just humbled right now.
well, it's like, hey, man, you got to plan for the future and be comfortable with whatever happens. But yeah, definitely got to be thinking forward,
Brand, that was the biggest humble brag I've ever heard. Wow, Brand was like, most dudes make a lot of their money in their 30s, but like, like pimps like me, when they're 24, like.
What can I say?
Yeah, man. I'm just busting balls now. No, you're really smart, man. For real. Like, I mean, you're 24 when Hex launched. What, you were 22, probably 21.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking incredible, son, dude. Great job. Fuck, you killed it, dude. Way to go, man. Brand the hammer, man.
Yeah, he did it amazing.
Well, like I said, I mean, it took 2017 holding all the way through the damn bear market, and then realizing, okay, like, Richard's coming out with this product. It's all audited and complete, and that was kind of like the last saving grace, So glad I put everything that I did into that, and obviously that it worked out, but not always is it kind of like that lucky hand that you get dealt.
No, definitely. You had to stay paying attention. So when 2017 happened, well, you were like 18 or 17 at the time.
Whatever that math is, yeah, 24 now, 2017. So yeah, definitely around that age range.
Damn, man. I mean, that's fucking fantastic. Most people don't have that kind of attention span to even do that. So like there's this whole thing where people say like, oh, people are lucky. I've had people say like, damn, you're hella lucky for being. Suck my dick. That was not luck, man. I mean, sure, there always is. Like, there is luck. There is luck. I'm not going to say there isn't luck, but there is this whole thing where like you had it. Like, there's a lot of other people that are here with us back in 2017 that didn't stick it through, and then are just barely like when Bitcoin cracked, let's just say 20,000 for the first time. But when it cracked 30,000 is when all the people from 2017 started, opening up their fucking crypto accounts again, magically coming back onto fucking crypto Twitter and shit, and like magically saying like, hey, I was here the whole time. Like, man, suck my dick. No, they were not. Fuck no.
Well, dude, yeah, it's true, man. I've got some friends that are in, just a handful of alts and whatnot, and they've completely, like, to your point, they've completely like shut down, shut off, like, depressed of the bear market, and they're just like, they hear crypto and they don't want to hear it, And so to your point, I mean, like I said, you have to be able to, sure, everyone wants to be right and have their, token or project go up, but you got to be able to be prepared for the worst case scenario as well, because it definitely happens.
Definitely. What's someone saying there? Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. What does it say? I have 120K hex. I'm not sure if it's the best strategy. Should I get one T-share? And let's see. I should get one T-share, and that's 3K now, and sacrifice the rest and trade all hex. Not scared. Not scared. If I
not sacrifice it.
Not sacrifice. Well, I don't know. One T-shirt seems like a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I would probably. I don't know. If you're just going to throw that little, you might as well just get like a couple. Maybe throw some 50. Maybe do like a backwards ladder of one. If you're just doing one T-shirt or something, do like a 15, a 12, a 7. I don't know, and then a 5, then a 3, and then a 1. Something like, I don't know. Just do something like, I don't know. Have like something, so you have hex coming out, like at least one hex stake coming out every cycle or something, just in case. I mean, if you're going to do something like that,
I think that amount buys you more than one T-share.
Oh yeah, it's only like how much is it? Oh yeah, you're right. Fuck, I've been fucking these numbers up. But yeah, but yeah, it's like 18,000 for one T-shirt, but if it's a year or something like that, or a day, I think. Yeah. To sacrifice is not a gamble. I'm not willing to. Wait, what? Not to sacrifice. Oh, is it? Oh, not to sacrifice. Dude, damn, I've been taking too much caffeine, dude. I'm like fucking having trouble reading. Holy shit.
I know the feel. Well, I mean, to Alan's point, to 8-Bit Hex's point, I mean, I definitely agree to a certain extent, right? I mean, like, if you had the opportunity to get in on Hex or get in on Pulse at the damn ground floor, and you didn't even do just a little bit of your bag, even if it was a couple percent, whatever, you might be kicking yourself after the first 100x, like you never know how much something can go up high. And like even a handful of people in Hex had, maybe just $100 or $1,000 that now is worth, multiple millions in Hex. So like, it's all about kind of that ground floor opportunity and, how long your time investment horizon is.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. See, you guys aren't lucky because I knew about crypto since 2013. Started in May of 2020 because I knew inflation was coming. You had more conviction. Oh yeah, man! Shout out to Ryan, bro. Yeah. Hey, Wave 3 TV. You want to show us some charts? What's going on right now with the hex price?
So, so I guess for the price charts, because because right now Motley and I are figuring out how to. We're gonna reveal the details of the golden chart. There's a couple Easter eggs pre-big payday. So I guess I that's something I'll talk over with Motley, because we are gonna we're gonna announce when we have when we begin to bring that information onto crypto Twitter. Motley mentioned in the chat he's almost home, so maybe we can talk about that on the stream. So I think so far with what we're seeing, I'll just say things are looking very good. So there's just a couple Easter eggs, because really there's the golden chart. The idea it went through multiple iterations before getting to the final idea, and there's just a certain way we're going to present that so that it's basically awesome. So we're gonna delayed gratification.
With the price bumpage, because I haven't seen it, but with the price bumpage that we're seeing now, do you kind of see it correlating to the time frame you're thinking of, or is it gone up higher than you thought it would at this time?
Yes. So, I guess my response to that, because I guess part of the reason, like if you're analyzing things like price charts, the less that everybody else is kind of speculating around, the better, or the higher probability you can hit certain price points. I will say that it's so far things are holding up really well with respect to the original idea, and so far things are looking really good. I think really what the audience can speculate on is the timeline of that golden chart, because it is a timeline. It doesn't end, during this sacrifice phase. Like it actually does consider, downside risk or something like that at a later point in time. But then it also looks at what could play out, months, even months from today. So it takes into account, these explosive waves we see on the price chart. And I think for now, I would say, as Motley mentioned in the chat, things are playing out pretty good. Things are looking pretty good today. But it doesn't, the golden chart itself doesn't end at the end of like this sacrifice phase. It actually expands out months from now. That does not mean the price chart is going to keep going up and up and up without any downside volatility. There's going to be a shit ton of volatility. But what I'm saying is I mostly look at this stuff from like the macro trends, and basically preparing for those macro trends and getting in, like, because the whole point is you get in at a certain level on the price chart that when you do have, let's say, any downside volatility, it just doesn't, it gets to a point where it doesn't really matter anymore relative to where you first got in on the price chart. And yeah, as Motley mentioned in the chat, it goes to any year. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I mean, you're definitely right. There's so many different dynamics when it comes to any cryptocurrency, but especially since Hex has, a majority of its liquidity on Uniswap and stuff like that tied to USDC and whatnot. Like to your point, like that lower amount of Hex, I think the last person said it was like 56 million that you could buy, something like that. But it definitely makes those bigger capital buys a lot more, explosive to the upside. So that's cool to hear that is playing out.
These comments in the chat are great.
You guys are fucking on. These fucking comments are gold, bro. Yeah. $50 when? I want to see the chat spam with $50 when. Oh my god, this shit's glorious. You ever had chocolate before? But like good chocolate? Yeah. I don't know, man.
What are we talking, like milk chocolate or?
I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying right now. I'm fucking tired. Holy fuck. I'm saying I'm just saying stupid shit. I'm sorry. Oh my god, dude. Like I just had a brain fart right now where I just said chocolate's good. What? What am I talking about? Oh, look at Motley the investor. Oh, look, let me tell you something about Motley here. You tell Motley you're betting $10. He's like, man, I bet 20. Yo, bro, I just sacrificed this much. He's like, I'm doing twice as much. Like, yo, bro, I might throw in this much on a coin and shit, and I'm gonna do 2 times you, bro. That's a classic Motley.
That's true. He doesn't play around. I've seen that too. Funny patterns.
Please explain how the price of Hex at the time of sacrifice affects the number of coins you'll end up with. Oh yeah, that's pretty simple. Yeah. Basically, at least right now that they haven't changed anything. I mean, I don't think anything's going to be changed, but basically $1 US equals 10,000 points. And that's pretty much going to be set in stone unless Richard says something else, but I doubt it. It's going to stay at 10,000 points. And what's going to happen is the higher the price of Hex is, or whatever token you sacrifice is, you have a higher USD value. So let's just say you have $500 of Hex and it goes to $1,000 and you sacrifice it at $1,000, you will have, you'll have 1 million points, right? Or whatever that is, whatever number that is. You'll have a certain amount of points where beforehand you would have twice as less, right? So let me see if I got that number right, because fucking 10 million. I'm sorry. You would have 10 million points, and then let's just say you sacrifice $500, which is $500 USD. into Hex at that point, or into the sacrifice chamber, you would have 5 million. That's the difference. Then from there, the only difference is depending on the total accumulated points you have, you're then put into like a line, and that line essentially puts you in a certain bonus. So the more money you probably aped in, the more you're ahead of the line. And the closer you are to the front of the line, the more bonus you get. So let's just say in this example, by having 10 million points, you will end up getting a 2 times bonus. So you would end up with 20,000. Where the guy with 5 million only got 1.5, you would end up having quite a lot more than him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the unique thing about it, because I didn't really know about TWAP, time weighted average price, until Richard had talked about the sacrifice phase. But that is what makes it so interesting. I mean, the first 1 through 5 days, like you mentioned, is still going to be the same volume bonus, but depending on what coin you're sacrificing and when those 30 minutes happen. I mean, the wick up to almost 22 cents, that was like a 15-minute candle, so you've got 30 minutes of that average. So it's definitely a unique dynamic. And like I was alluding to earlier, that I agree with Kareem that there's probably going to be some days maybe within those 1 to 5 that we just see, like you mentioned, green dildo after green dildo, and that's probably the time to, maybe put in some of the sacrifices.
Right. Let's see. Finally found which channel this was on. Oh yeah, right. We have like 5 different channels. That's true. Yeah, we kind of round robin, but usually that's why we tell you guys to make sure to follow all of us on Twitter. We always announce it ahead of time to have known, and then we usually all of us retweet each other anyway. So so everyone should know what channel it's on. So I think next time it's going to be on your channel, Brand, right? Or is it Coffee's?
Not too sure. It might be Coffee, I think.
It's gonna be Coffee's, yeah. So next week it's gonna be on Coffee's channel. Then afterwards either Brand or it's gonna be Wave 3D, safe for children. And from there it's gonna probably go to Motley again.
You just
and
say
then back
safe
to me.
for children.
Well, I gotta preface that,
Yeah.
I'm just saying Wave3TV.com is safe for all TV audiences. Please keep hands and feet within the vehicle at all times. Por favor, tienes todos tus pies y manos adentro del carbón de todos los tiempos, por favor. Gracias. And have a safe trip at wave3tv.com. I don't know.
No, I definitely like the setup of the stream, right? Because the round robin type deal. I mean, to your point, we all kind of broadcast to our own Twitter followers and whatnot. But the thing I like about it is, like, you two probably have followers of different altcoin communities that don't follow, maybe myself, or, people that are just kind of mainly centric. So it's awesome to see all of the new names in the chats and just being able to educate people, because, the reason that you and Charlie do the course at the end of the day and stuff like that is to educate people. So it's cool to have that opportunity with everyone's kind of friend group.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the whole, like, what's that called? It's like the halo effect, sort of, in a way, right? We're essentially just like exposing all our people to different people, into each other and stuff, and then it just makes the community stronger and larger and stuff. I mean, sometimes, like, we talk about coins, because obviously this is not the Knights of Crypto is not just exclusively Hex only. We talk about other cryptocurrencies, and we talk about like macro events and stuff and charts and all that other jazz. But I mean, right now the biggest news in cryptocurrencies is Pulse Chain and the Sacrifice Chamber. So it's like, if a fucking meteorite hit California, we'd probably be talking about a meteorite hitting California. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's actually a side story, just aside from the Thorchain got exploited. Richard posted it. So Thorchain got exploited. There's like an entire thread of all these
link me and I'll read into. I don't want to laugh at people, but damn, that sucks.
No, it sucks. Like there's a lot that got exploited from that. I'll post it in the private chat.
Oh, look at this slimy ass son of a bitch in the green room right now. I'm gonna let him in a minute, but like, son of a bitch. Hey, Bitfinex, hey, bro, thank you so much for those $50 right there. Chocolate from Buge is pretty legit. Have you ever had a good pizza before? Had to be set. Have I ever had good pizza? Of course I have. Come on.
debatable, but
All right,
we won't.
let's just. Hey, what's up, Motley?
Hey, what's up,
Yeah,
bud?
we just take a hater off the street right now to give me this bullshit about pizza.
Was he about to talk about his pizza?
Yeah, he's about to take off pizza. I'm gonna let him out of timeout right now. Let's just see if he's ready.
You know he wants to say some shit.
The first one was just a slap on the wrist. The second one is a 30-minute timeout.
Yeah. You know what? Since we had Motley here, we might as well.
Yes. That's so good. So good. Fucking Markable crushing it.
Yeah.
So what was this meteorite I heard about?
Oh no, we're just talking about like the Knights of Crypto.
I wouldn't talk about a meteorite if it hit right now. It'd still be Pulse. it'd still be Pulse. It'd still be Hex because like right now it's just like the biggest opportunity in the crypto space right now. So that's 100% of my focus.
Yeah, what I was just pretty much saying is like we're going to be talking about the biggest sort of thing where you can the biggest event right now is Hex and Pulse right now. That's literally there's nothing else. There's not a single thing I can think of that's going on in crypto right now that even matches this right now. So obviously we're going to be talking about it, but we don't just exclusively talk about Hex and Pulse. Obviously we talk about other stuff that's going on, but like, dude, the market's fucking bleeding and it's just Hex right now.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's really bad. I don't think you guys mentioned it. Did you talk about potentially some of the smaller guys with like I'm like really new to Hex that don't have that much potentially if they're sacrificing some for Pulse to come in those last 3 days? Did you talk about that?
We talked a little bit about that. We had some guys ask us like, what if I only have 10,000 Hex or something like that? And I just told them, hey, keep 3,000 Hex. You always want to keep some liquid, because like at some point we'll get a really nice increase in the Hex price, especially if into next year. Right, so you always keep a little. If that's really all they have, and that's all they can afford, it's like
you got to keep Hex.
Got to keep some Hex. But it's a sort of thing too where it's like, okay, risk reward here, right? I don't have a lot. I'll keep a little bit of Hex. Hex at some point, that amount of money that you spent on getting that Hex, you will eventually, with that 30% keeping that bag, you will eventually get that back, and you could sell some off to de-risk it if you wanted to. So it kind of gives you an option with the 70% left over to ape it into this new ecosystem, and you have more of a shot to multiply it more. And if it goes bad, then you didn't really lose a lot, honestly.
I was mainly talking about the fact that Richard upped the last 3 days instead of a 1.25 multiplier up to a 1.75 multiplier. So it's actually a pretty decent multiplier. If you have a small stack, you would never get 1.75. So the way I know you guys talked about it a little bit, but the way it works is you have a 2.5 multiplier all the way down to essentially just a fraction above a 1 multiplier. So essentially nothing. And if you have a small stack, you're going to be one of those guys all the way to the back. They move slowly back behind each other by fractions of a point or whatever. So
just
if you have last 3 days. So the last 3 days, it's 1.75 multiplier. So the only risk you smaller guys will run at the very end is the rate goes up by 5% every day, and you'll get you have to essentially have a 2x in the Hex price to overcome the worst rate those last 3 days. But you have that 1.75 multiplier that is locked in for you that you wouldn't otherwise get. So it's not that bad of a deal. And those last 3 days, Miguel's already talked about this, is going to be potentially just a shit show with the whales, right? Because they're right now they still haven't really moved too much. They're going to move towards the end of the volume phase is probably what we're guessing. Last day right now they're doing the whole Mexican standoff thing to see what each other does. But after the volume phase, it doesn't really make sense for them to splash around after that until the very end, where they get another 1.75 multiplier. And then what they can start doing is building out, like you said, Miguel, a bunch of other wallets. So like if they only need to do a bunch of wallets like over 300,000 USD or 400,000 USD, they can make another 20, 30, 40, 50 wallets to start pushing everyone else down. and capture that market. So that's probably what they're going to do towards the end. But you'll get price appreciation in Hex, so you could get your 2x multiplier or that 2x in price that you need to overcome, and then you still get a 1.75 multiplier on top of that. For you little guys, it might be a very good deal. So I would consider the end.
And no, and that's right. And like, I've been thinking about this for the past days. I was literally talking to somebody about this like all night, basically, kind of going over. I mean, literally all night. I think that the whales might do this $50,000 and lower, whatever the 50,000 USD value is, whatever that is in points. That they may just crowd that down. So like, let's just say if you've donated, this is not set in stone, but let's just say like a certain amount of money, $25,000 or $50,000 of value. They may create wallets to put in. At 50,000, you may be somewhere in like the 2.1x multiplier rank. Then they might just create enough wallets to push that down to like 0.5 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on the size of the whale, and then it just depends what that kind of like median average is going to be, and how much of a multiplier they want per USD value. So like if it's a gigantic whale, like they could do some serious wallets. It just really depends. Yeah. I got 2 microphones for sure. And then Isaiah Levy asked, so points equal pulse tokens. Yeah. So like $1 gets you 10,000 points, and that essentially just becomes 10,000 pulse. And so the supply is going to be, at least at a minimum, it's going to be 10,000 to 1 ratio of pulse to ETH. And let's say we don't have enough sacrifice USD value. Richard's talked about this. You'll actually get bonus points, which will then turn into pulse. But I have a feeling with what we've already received in this first day, we're going to be we're actually probably going to have a larger than a 10,000 to 1 supply than Ethereum. Because have you guys checked the sacrifice address recently?
No, not yet. Well, I think they did earlier.
So right now, just in the Ethereum address alone, we have over 100. We have essentially $139 million just in the Ethereum address. That's nuts. And it's pretty much the first day. We still haven't finished the first day yet. And 619 million hex sacrificed, which is nuts. There's no supply out there.
Hey, Malik, can you link the address so we can give it to the guy?
Yes, yeah, I can. So you can pull it up. And that's not, guys, that's not including the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin one actually has a decent amount in it. Then there's the Sins Foundation. So
I think that was at what, like 6 million the other day or 7 million?
Yeah, it's probably well over 10 million by now. All right, I'll put it in the
There's
chat.
so much going on, dude.
Yeah, and then you still have all the other shit chains that Richard was talking about, like how hard it is to even fucking let alone build on these things, but to just even show the addresses, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. I saw that Richard was like asking Cardano, like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, no wonder why you guys haven't had a smart contract in the past 5 or 6 years. Like, Jesus. I just posted it in the chat for you guys if you want to check it out. This is the Ethereum sacrifice address, and you can see everything that's gone in there. Obviously, it's mostly Hex, but you see a lot of other tokens as well.
To your question about Sens, just real quick, since you mentioned it. Yeah, initially it was like 6 million and then 10 million, and then there was like a $10 million donation by one address, and so now it's like 20 million. It's like, holy shit, dude! It's so exciting that not only do we've got the largest airdrop that cryptocurrency has ever seen, we've got the system state of Ethereum, but also people are gonna, like I mentioned, get the NFTs copied over. The network is going to be faster, stuff like that. So definitely exciting times, whether you're a Hexagon or not. You can realize the new advancements in that technology that's coming out soon.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in the Sins Foundation, if you need a tax break, it's definitely a good charity. I mean, longevity is about as good as it gets, and you'll only get 75% of the Pulse tokens that you would have gone if you just donated the sacrifice phase. But that 25% is going to be a big tax deduction for you. So like, yeah, someone actually did a $10 million donation. And most of it's been crypto, but you can also, if you guys have some stocks or even cash that you want to get rid of, they take that as well. It was funny because Richard said someone made like $150,000 like PayPal payment to the Sins Foundation. Yeah. So
That's fucking amazing, dude. I mean, this shit's pretty cool. I mean, who knows, man? Like, you know how shocking it would be? Like, literally, Sens Foundation next year says, "Hey, we may have found a way to like reduce aging, or like they crack through some major breakthrough or something." And it's like, well, maybe the Hexicans are gonna be like, "Yeah, we found that. Yeah, that was all us." Yeah,
bro, so freaking Richard had an interview with what was it, DeGray? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Like Aubrey DeGray. That's who. Aubrey DeGray. Who's essentially the leading guy at the Sins Foundation. They really do not get that much. I know Vitalik donated a couple million to him not too long ago, and there's some other donations, but they've been starved for donations lately. And this Pulse launch, they're literally going to make millions and millions of dollars off this. So that's pretty cool. Maybe hopefully because when DeGray was talking about it, like they barely had enough money to just like maintain their supplies and shit. Like they can barely even do the research they want because they don't have the funding. And this is probably going to give them several years of funding without having to worry about anything but focusing on their research and having everything they need. So that's really cool that we can do that side by side with our token launch. Pretty awesome.
One day when I'm really paid, I'm talking about like I got Wisconsin level money. Like I can like states in the United States cash. I mean, I'm going to be funding.
Is that what you're going for? You're going for milk country? You want to go buy at Wisconsin?
I mean, I need some milk, right?
Yeah.
What I was thinking, I mean, this is something I've seriously thought since like a long time ago. I wanted to fund a ton of basically bodybuilding fucking stuff, like in terms of like what actually makes muscle grow, steroid testings and all this other, in terms of what's effective, what's not effective, like all the stuff in the sports science
for health,
for health and stuff that hasn't been studied because there's no money. Literally, we're that space alone is basic. The backbone of the entire space is essentially USSR fucking research from the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union was really into like weight because they're trying to win Olympic medals.
Look at Icarus Down, I believe. They did a documentary on the entire doping campaign of Russia. Like they took that shit to a whole nother level. And then they started offing everybody. They ended up getting the lead scientists out of the country, but they pretty much started whacking people when the news got out.
Yeah. Pretty insane.
Russia does not play.
Like you guys mentioned, I know following Richard Hart very early on, he had SciVive, like the pre-draft, but one of the things that he talks about and is a big proponent of is like fix the money, fix the world, and so I think it's cool that once everyone has their mat gains and are sufficient with that, like Dollar Cost mentions, being able to fund other things that you're passionate about and that also benefit the rest of the world. I mean, how cool is that? Not only being able to impact your own life and your family's lives, but the people around you as well.
For sure. 100%.
Thank you, BW. For sure.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. There's so much. If you guys just pay attention and just take the information that everyone gives you, like there's so much money to be made. There's so many different moves, not just the sacrifice phase. There's other stuff coming down the pipeline as well. You're going to have a copy of your hex. That's why we keep telling you guys to save some of it. I think P hex is just going to do absolutely stupid. Like when everyone gets dropped your Pulse tokens, right? Like we're going to be in our own ecosystem, and honestly, most of the PRC20s are going to be shit, right? Like, I'm pretty sure most of you guys agree with that, right? Yeah, so most of them are going to be shit. There's very few that can actually operate on their own. And what's going to be the main appealing thing in that ecosystem to start with, right? There's going to be a bunch of people that come over and start developing on there. But for the most part, it's going to be P-Hex. And imagine, so right now we're sitting at like almost $140 million of economic mass in the sacrifice phase. That's all going to be dropped to people as in the form of Pulse. And they go in this new ecosystem and they look around, there's just piles of heaping shit everywhere. And then there's just like that shining light that's P-Hex. What's that what would $100 million do into the price of Hex on Ethereum right now? It would take it to multiple dollars. Where do you think a lot of that P-Hex is going to go into on the new Pulse chain? It's probably going to go into P-Hex. So you could literally see P-Hex shoot to a dollar easy, almost instantaneously. We could get $1 hex essentially at the launch of Pulse Chain. It could be the largest green candle you've ever seen. It could be that serious. See, look, Wasabi's over there knocking stuff over. He's getting so excited. Oh God! You could honestly instantly get almost $1 p hex right at the start of Pulse Chain. It could be that serious. And if you kept your hex, you would just have a copy of it. You wouldn't even have to buy it. You would have it all ready to go.
Damn, bro.
Yep.
Well, and also like you mentioned with that like 620 million hex that are being sacrificed, like most likely that is going to go into something that is of diamond hand sort. You know, like why would the person that set that up cut off their nose despite their face tech deal? So like Motley also mentions that's also reducing the sell pressure on the market. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, 600 million hex has been sacrificed already. Gee, I wonder what they're gonna go play around and buy like 90% in Pulse Chain. It's gonna be P hex. So, and we're right now sitting at like 140 million plus in the sacrifice phase. We're probably we could be anywhere between like 300 to 500 million dollars in the sacrifice phase, and a majority of that's going into P hex. That shit's gonna be multiple dollars, very easily.
Right. I've done some like quick moon math in terms of how much like hex is going to probably sacrifice.
Yeah,
it's like I'm getting between like 8.5 billion to about 10 billion hex. If it keep
to be sacrificed,
or
is there enough on the market for that?
Well, I don't. That's the thing. That's the sort of thing. It's like it's like
15 billion. We'd have to go back and look at Gunther's audit and see what the supply actually was. Yeah.
It seems like I can't read the comments and shit with these glasses on, man. It's just so dark, literally. Yeah. But it's the reason I was kind of leaning towards 8 is like if we've gotten like 600, we've gotten 600 million hex so far. Obviously, the next days are not going to be as much, and then maybe the day 5 is going to be a lot, and then the other days are going to be a lot less, and then let's just say on the last 3-4 days it's going to be pretty dramatic with the whales playing games. So it's like if you just look at it, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, we're almost by tomorrow, we'll probably be at 1 billion, probably. You know what I mean? So,
there's going to be no liquid supply. I mean, so like we've estimated. So the OA's known address have about 50% of the supply. The other wallets that we believe are highly connected to the OA, you're looking at like another 37% of the supply before the sacrifice phase. You could literally have 90 to 93, 94% of the supply locked up, and hands that have not sold a single hex yet, and you only have about 5 to 7%. Like, bruh, this shit is going to be nuts, absolutely nuts. And that's why we tell you guys, like, Pulse is going to do very well, but don't take your eye off the prize. If you're sacrificing all your hex, you're fucked up. I don't care what your stack is. You got to keep some hex. Yeah. Got to. It's outpacing what Bitcoin did, and that's starting hex at the point where Bitcoin actually had a price. If you actually set it back where like the first like 2 years where like Bitcoin didn't have a freaking wasn't trading for anything, like hex is just leagues above what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin still doesn't even have a price yet, and hex would be already just skyrocketing past it. But if you line them up, it's still smoking Bitcoin. So like, don't give up all your hex. Pulse is gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool to go play in the ecosystem, but hex is still the golden goose for sure.
Dude, I just love it that all the haters right now are fucking quiet right now.
They're not. They're fucking capitulating. Because I saw that shit today. I saw that shit on Twitter on everybody. Fucking Superman, like everyone. All of them were mentioning hex, and they're like, like, and it's weird, right? And I put out a tweet today. I was like essentially like, fuck all these people, right? Like it's weird. All these influencers all of a sudden say hex. But remember, the past year and a half, it was usually followed by the word scam. And now that word's been removed, or it's like, oh, maybe it's not, they're hedging, right? Maybe it's not a scam, like, because it's the only thing that's surviving right now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, isn't that ironic? I was like, don't forget who the people were from day one that were telling you, like, hey, this is like the next Bitcoin. This is a better store of value that earns you yield, that mints you more Bitcoin. Like, this is the better store of value. It's the progression of what the space was supposed to be, and like all of us have been saying that since day one. And now you see all the influencers out there, they're like trying to hedge right now, and it's comical to me. It's really funny, and that just shows me how much capitulation we're about to get into Pulse Chain and to people buying Hex, and that's why you're going to see some stupid price increases. Like 20 to 30 cents is an easy target throughout this. Like if we smash through 30 cents, you could be rubbing 2 quarters together just to get 1 Hex. That's nuts. Bro, can you imagine getting 2 Hex for $1, guys?
Yes.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
You
$1 and they hand you back 2 Hex, I cry. Like, and that's where we're going to, right? Because like a lot of us have a hard time imagining that. But now that the rest of the market is capitulating, and they're capitulating at Hex at what, like almost 20 cents. So in their minds, they're going to see this giant green candle. They're going to FOMO in like everyone does in the crypto space. And they don't have any price bias because they haven't been here this whole time. And Hex has been gate kept. So they're going to see it at 25 cents and like, oh, this is incredible. The Pulse Chain, all this. Oh, that's an easy 3 to 4x that I can get if I buy Hex right now. And they're just going to, and the price is just going to shoot up. You're going to get $1 so easy because you're bringing in a whole new audience that this is their new price floor. This 15 to 20 cents, that's their new price floor. This is the norm for them. So in their minds, the 3 to 4x is like nothing, where we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we're about to 3 to 4x from here. It's nuts.
Yeah, because it's everybody that got in prior to Big Payday, that 3 to 4x is like relative to where they are on the price chart is just insane multiples. So
those people can move mountains with the amount of economic mass they'll have at that price point in Hex. Like,
I would really like a. Oh yeah,
go
I was gonna say.
No.
I was gonna say I would really like a stream where you're just rubbing 2 quarters together.
Yeah, it's just like yes. You know what you can buy with this? 1 Hex, and funny enough, back in the like, what really matters, right, is the T shares, and the cheapest you could have ever gotten a T share for was 60 cents, and now a single Hex almost costs as much as the cheapest T share that you could have gotten back in the day. The cheapest T share you could have gotten back in the day is about to cost a single fucking Hex. You're gonna get 1 Hex for that. And you know how many Hex you need for a T share right now, guys? It's over 18,200 Hex. Oh my God, this thing is accelerating so fast. It's pretty much faster than what any of us predicted. Like within another year or so, even if you stake out past the max length, you're not going to be able to get your T shares back. You can go out past 10 years and you can keep them in the system longer, but you will not get more T shares unless you put more money into the system. Like T shares, get your T shares.
Yeah, if that doesn't tell you where we're going, then I don't know what will. The other thing I wanted to say just real quick to the Pulse Chain and to the sacrifice is I'm looking at the address itself that's based on the Ethereum. Make sure that you're looking at pulse.info and looking at the qualifiable coins that are ERC20 tokens that you can sacrifice, because there's someone that's donated pretty much like $8,700 worth of like Shibu Inu, and I don't think that's part of the qualification of the sacrifice set. So definitely, listen to the people that have done their research, or do your own research on pulse.info, and just make sure you know what you're doing before you send it over, because there's a lot of people at the beginning of Hex that sent ETH to the contract address or Hex to the contract address as opposed to minting it themselves. So just be patient, do your own research, and provide yourself with as much knowledge as you do before you make that decision.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure to hit that like button, smash that shit. Hit the notification bell, hit all, because I've been hearing, I have been seeing it as well. Some of my favorite YouTube channels have been, I just have to resubscribe to them. I don't know what the fuck's going on. The only channels that I know that hasn't been going on is when you actually have the notification bell on all notifications. When you just subscribe to somebody, it seems to me that it's possibly that they can unsubscribe you from. I don't know how the fuck that's happening, but yeah, that sucks. So make sure to hit the like, subscribe. Make sure to go to all these good peeps' Twitters and follow them. Go on their YouTube channels. Their YouTube channels should be in the bios on their Twitters. And man, shit, I can't wait, man. Marcelo, thank you so much, man. Oh, look at this man right here.
Yeah. I got to match my background, you know. I got to get the mountains in.
Hell yeah, man. I love the background too. The colors, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So on Telegram, there's a chat room called Hex Designs. If you guys don't know, there's a whole ecosystem in like Telegram. Yeah, like there's a lot of hexagons on Twitter, but there's probably like 30 to 50 literally just Telegram groups that are dedicated to Hex and Pulse Chain, and they're hundreds, thousands of members in them, and they all have amazing stuff. Like Hex Design is a bunch of graphic artists and designers that literally make the coolest shit. Like this community can do anything from A to Z, and not only can they do it from A to Z, but they can do it well. They can do it incredibly well, and that's why like Hex has been so successful, right? Like whatever we need done, we can outsource it from our own community. Like our intro, markable thoughts made that, and it's absolutely badass, and he was able to do that. Any of the graphic design stuff you can get done. If you need a coder, if you need someone to write a script, we have software engineers. If you need someone to run a node and validate transactions, we know people that can do that. Like anything you need in this space, outside the space, a hexagon can do it. And that's another reason why we've just been so successful over this period of time. It's like because any tool, any utility, any skill, any person like is just an arm's reach out. And like everyone, a lot of people just do this out of just like the goodness of their heart. But I mean, at the same time, if someone brings a good skill or asset to you, like pay them, especially if you're a hexagon, because you probably made a lot of money. So pay that shit forward. But it's also cool when people just go out of their way to help people, right?
Well, speaking of which, Motley, maybe you can tell people about the contest that you want to do for the shield for the people that might be able to do design here.
Oh yeah, actually, community's been slacking on that. So just like I have these shades on, so we did one thing before this. Shout out to Skippa Jenkins. He reached out to a company called Shady Rays, and they have glasses that actually have almost an identical gradient. Like this is a little too red, but it has like an identical gradient to the hex colors. So he reached out to him and he told him, he's like, hey, like our logo to our cryptocurrency matches the lens of your sunglasses. Could you guys give us a deal? And so they did. So like Hex 25, if you go to Shady Rays, we'll give you 25% off and you can go get their sunglasses. And they got sick hex gradient lenses. So like all the hexagons went out there and bought a bunch of them. And they were talking to Skippa Jenkins, and they told him like they actually might buy some hex and stake it. The actual company might. They're actually reaching out to their legal team to see like what the legalities of that would be. But they're actually looking into hex now, and they might be like one of the first companies to like buy it and stake it, which is pretty cool. So now I'm doing that with another small company. He actually came from your community, Miguel. You and Charlie, Jim Rat, or I believe it's Scott. One of his buddies has a badass like Spartan shield. Like that's all he does is his company does these Spartan shields. And so like right now, if you guys are graphic designers or just work with images and stuff, I want to get a badass like hex shield design. So $250 for whoever can give me like a really badass hex design. I was going to do a poll and put it together for people to vote on and best design. So far, I only got like 2 entries, so kind of slacking. So if any of you guys are talented like that, hit me up on Twitter. All my stuff's Motley Investors, so you can find me. But if you're a good graphic designer, essentially it's just got to be a circular logo, implement hex into it somehow, make it badass, and yeah, give you $250, whatever you want, whatever crypto or USD, doesn't matter.
No pressure. Shout out to Timothy, man, the NFT god right here.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah, bro. Like, help me out. I only got like 2 entries, so if you can whip something up, just hit me up on Twitter, Telegram, wherever. Try to get it to me by Sunday if you can. I might extend the deadline if I don't get enough entries.
Where do you want them to send it to you?
Twitter, Telegram, whatever. It's all
Okay,
Motley Investors, so you guys should be able to find me. All right. Yeah, I definitely could use some more entries for sure.
Ooh. And death. And death, I'll get on that.
Hell yeah. Do it. I'm excited. I'm excited. Show me what you guys got. Impress me. If you guys do a really good job, I'll throw more money in. I don't give a fuck. I'll double. If you give me a good design, if you give me a badass design and I fucking love that shit, I'll double it. I'll give you $500.
Nice.
Try to get it to me by Sunday if you can.
Beautiful, man. So you were doing some family stuff earlier?
Yeah, you know, because we've been so busy with this crap for the past couple days. Like, all of us have probably spent time away from family and friends, and like I know that for a fact because I spend literally like 23 hours with you fuckers. So like, I know that for a fact that we've all kind of been slacking on that. So yeah, a couple are going to back to Florida, so hung out with them, and then yeah, it was just good. It was kind of last minute. I felt bad for leaving you guys, but I was like, oh, I'll catch the back end.
They're
But
asking for $500 in hex.
yeah, I'll do it in hex. As much as that pains me, that's gonna be a lot of money. That's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of money. I'll have to like market buy real quick and replace it because that $500 in hex is gonna be very nice. Yeah, if you, whatever cryptocurrency you want, yeah, hex is fine.
Beautiful, man.
Ugh. Yeah, man. It's gonna be exciting. There's so much stuff going on. Like I know Wasabi's already talked to you guys about like we're planning on releasing the golden chart in a fun way. We got to find some people to work on that, and got another project in the works that's involved with Pulse Chain that can't talk about yet. Like there's all kinds of fun stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm excited.
There definitely is. But I want to remind everybody, especially some of the guys, like you can make this sacrifice chamber as complex or as simple as you want.
Yep.
And
just like hex.
Just like hex, right? So
yep.
Just make it simple on yourself. You don't go crazy with it. Just figure out a nice little strategy. Price good. I sacrifice when price high. That is like caveman that shit. Just think that like just caveman like, ooh, hex price high. Me sacrifice hex. Me got points. Me win. Like literally like that level of like smooth brain. But that just don't overcomplicate shit and make sure just like get some in. But also keep some fucking liquid hex as well. Don't fucking sack all of it and stuff. Keep some liquid hex for yourself because that stuff's gonna get hard to get later on for real.
Not even later on, like very soon. Yep. Let's see.
I mean, I definitely agree. People, I hear it in the Pulse Chain chat a lot, especially recently. But they're looking for like the most best strategy, and like no one's gonna have the best strategy. You know, no one's got that crystal ball of what's going to be the most efficient for the points and the sacrificing and stuff like that. But if you do want to participate, you know, just get the participation in, and like you mentioned, kind of just keep it simple, stupid. I mean, that strategy just really works well.
Guys, so I know some of you guys were asking like, what's the deal with the shield? So this is the website. I don't know if YouTube's going to let it stay up, but Shield Masters, except instead of an S at the end, it's a Z. So you guys can check out the shield, but it's metal and it might be kind of brushed metal. I'm not quite sure, but go on there, check out their shields, check out some of the other designs they did to get some ideas. Okay, send me a DM on Telegram. Okay, Timothy, sweet,
beautiful, man.
I'll get to you after the show.
Well, Molly, where can people follow you, man?
Motley Investor everywhere, Twitter, Telegram, YouTube.
Radio,
pretty easy.
Facebook, MySpace, Friendster.
No, no, just the three.
And Balliot Brand, where can people follow you, man?
Same thing with the links, just allmylinks.com/Balliot Brand. Got the Twitter, YouTube, the whole 9 yards is there.
And Wave 3 TV, where can people follow you, man?
Yeah, you could find me Twitter, YouTube, Wave 3 TV.
Cool, man. And of course, you guys can follow me at Dollar Cost Crypto, Twitter, and everywhere else YouTube channel. For the guys who took the quarter three mindset course, we're gonna have actually a flash webinar probably within 20 minutes, 25 minutes from now. Awesome. And it's only for the quarter three guys who got in. So we're gonna degen it up in there and talk a lot of game theory and stuff. So hey, I'll see you guys later, man.
Hell yeah! Hey, hit that intro on the outro.
Yep.